Hey, this is Todd Lewis with All Things Open and Open Source 101. I want to take just a minute to thank you profusely for joining us today. We know a lot's still going on in the world. The COVID situation is getting better. It's been with us for about a year now, but we are at least heading in the right direction. Even with that, we're still doing a virtual event, and we know that you have personal considerations and business considerations that you've never had before. So again, that's not lost on us. The fact that you've taken the time to join us today, we greatly appreciate it. We don't take it for granted. And from the All Things Open and the Open Source 101 team, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so a little bit about the history of Open Source 101 for those that may not have joined us before. We started this series about 5 years ago. This will be our 8th event, the 8th 101 that we've done. Here's what we found over more than a decade of doing this. Even though a lot of people think everyone knows and understands foundational or fundamental open source principles, processes and technologies and community, etc., we have found that that is not the case. A lot of people just entering this sector or getting into the open source space or even technology in general, they don't know, they don't have that basic understanding. So we've realized this, again, we've based this on a decade of comments and conversations that we've had around the world. So that's really why we started this series, is to really provide the education so that someone that attends the event can come in the morning, not really be that familiar with foundational principles, and leave at the end of the day with a pretty firm understanding. They won't be experts, of course. We don't expect that. That's not the expectation. But having a pretty firm grasp, or at least a much better grasp, of foundational principles is very important to us. We think that delivers a lot of value, and the attendees that leave and consume the content over the course of a day are going to be much better positioned afterwards than they were beforehand. All right, a little bit about what you'll experience on the virtual platform today. From a content perspective, we'll start out at 10 a.m. with our keynote block. That'll last until 11:30, so an hour and a half of keynotes. Within that block will be 4 world-class keynote talks on high-level topics from unbelievably good speakers. We think you'll really enjoy it. We'll then move to our breakout sessions. Our breakout sessions will start at 11:45 a.m. and then will last and go through the remainder of the day till about 4:30 or 4:45. Each of those sessions will be 45 minutes. 3 of them will be extended 90-minute sessions to allow a little deeper dive. So the majority 45 minutes, and then 3 of them will be 90 minutes. And you'll know which ones they are based on your schedule. So please take a look at that. From a sponsor perspective, we will have a virtual exhibit hall. You can navigate around. We strongly encourage you to go over and visit our sponsors. They are making this possible. They're really making everything that you're experiencing today possible. So we really appreciate their support. Many of them are offering jobs. Many of them are there. They're actually live in their virtual booth to talk to you. So we really encourage you to stop by and say hello and thank them for helping us make this conference available to you today. Final thing is the networking lounge. We know that you're here to get content, so the sessions are at top level priority for you. And then, secondarily is networking. It's actually meeting new people within the space. So we do have a networking lounge you can take advantage of. We strongly encourage you to do that as well. So again, content, keynotes, and breakout sessions. We do have the exhibit hall. We encourage you to talk to our sponsors and our partners. And then finally, networking. We encourage you to visit the networking lounge and get to know each other, meet new people, and form relationships that can benefit you moving forward. Here's the final thing I'll say, and it's really in regard to the event being virtual. Obviously, again, the world is still grappling with COVID-related issues, so this event is 100% virtual. We didn't want to put anyone at risk. We would honestly prefer to do an in-person event. Most of our events have been in person up to this point. Obviously, we had to adapt to the COVID situation that has impacted us all. So even though it's a virtual event, we've really taken, we've done everything possible to adapt the virtual platform to replicate or mimic the in-person experience as closely as possible. So we think as you get into the virtual environment and begin to navigate around, it won't be the same thing, obviously, but we have worked very hard to make it resemble as closely as possible the in-person experience. So please, exercise some patience, be a little patient with us. Everything won't be perfect, again, as you're in the environment navigating around, but do understand that the team, the All Things Open and Open Source 101 team, we really would much prefer to do in-person events. We hope to be back to in-person here very soon. We hope the situation continues to improve. But for now, we're working very hard to make the best of the virtual environment and really the best of a challenging situation. So thank you again for joining. We truly appreciate it, and we'll see you within the virtual platform.